The first thing I'd like to talk about is techniques in managing people. Principle number one is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Criticism is useless because it puts a person on the defensive and usually makes them try to justify themselves. Criticism is dangerous because it wounds a person's pride, hurts their sense of importance, and causes resentment. The people we condemn will condemn us in return. When dealing with people, remember that they are not creatures of logic, but creatures of emotion. We are all motivated by our pride and vanity. Instead of condemning people, try to understand them. Figure out the why behind what they do, and you will improve your relationship with that person. Principle number two is give honest and sincere appreciation. If the average person doesn't like something, they'll point it out and criticize. If they do like something, they won't say anything. How does that make their employees ever want to work harder? We often focus on taking care of the physical aspect of our lives. We nurse the bodies of our children and our friends and employees, but how often do we focus on the mental aspect and nurse their self-esteem? Principle number three, think about what the other person wants. When I went fishing, I didn't think about what I wanted. I thought about what the fish wanted. I didn't put Taco Bell as bait, but rather foods that the fish wanted. The same concept applies when dealing with people. You can improve your influence on other people by talking about what they want and showing them how to get it. Before you speak, pause and ask yourself, how can I make this person want to do it? The next thing I'd like to cover is ways to make people like you. The first principle about this is become genuinely interested in other people. The dog has figured out that he can make more friends in 2 months by being genuinely interested in them than you can make in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. People are not interested in you or me. They are interested in themselves. For instance, when you see a group photograph that you're in, whose picture do you look for first? You can win the attention, time, and cooperation of people by being interested in the same thing that they are, them. Second principle is smile. Actions speak louder than words, and a smile says, I like you. You make me happy. I'm glad to see you. And if a person is glad to see us, we're glad to see them. You must have a good time meeting people if you expect them to have a good time meeting you. Everyone is seeking happiness. There's one sure way to find it. That's by controlling your thoughts. Happiness doesn't depend on outward conditions. It depends on inner conditions. It isn't what you have, who you are, where you are, or what you are doing that makes you happy or unhappy. It is what you think about it. For example, two people may be in the same place, doing the same thing. Both may have an equal amount of money and prestige, and yet one may be miserable and the other happy. Why? Because of a different mental attitude. The final thing I'd like to cover is how to get people to agree with you. First principle of this is, the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. You can't win an argument. You can't because if you lose it, you lose it. And if you win it, you lose it. If you argue and contradict, you may achieve victory sometimes, but it'll be an empty victory because you'll never get your opponent's goodwill. Listen first, look for areas of agreement, and apologize for your mistakes. The second principle is, get the other person saying yes immediately. In talking to people, don't begin by discussing the things on which you differ. Begin by emphasizing the things on which you agree. You're both striving for the same goal, and your only difference is one of method, not of purpose. A no response is the most difficult handicap to overcome. When they have said no, all their pride demands that they remain consistent with themselves. A skillful speaker gets, at the outset, a number of yes responses. This sets the psychological process of the listeners moving in the affirmative direction. Think of it like the movement of a billiard ball. Propel in one direction and take some force to deflect it. Far more force to send it back in the opposite direction. The third principle is, try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. Remember, other people might be totally wrong, but they don't think so. Don't condemn them. Anybody can do that. Try to understand them. There's a reason why the other person thinks and acts the way he does. Figure out that reason and you have the key to his actions, his personality. Cooperation in conversation is achieved when you show that you consider the other person's ideas and feelings as important as your own. Before asking someone to do something, ask yourself, why would he or she want to do it? It will avoid making enemies and it will get better results. The fourth principle is make the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest. Be sincere. Don't promise anything you cannot deliver. Forget about the benefits to yourself and concentrate on the benefits to the other person. Know exactly what it is you want the other person to do, and be empathetic. Ask yourself, what is it the other person really wants? Consider the benefits that person will receive from doing what you suggest, and match those benefits to what they want. When you make your request, put it in a way that will convey to the other person that he will benefit personally. You are more likely to change attitudes this way than by not using these principles. And if you increase your successes, even by a mere 10%, you'll become 10% more effective as a leader than you were before. And that is to your benefit. If this video added value to your life and you want to see more, please share, like, and subscribe.